The Trump administration's flurry of executive orders. There are those who ask, what would happen if the White House defies the courts?
In a statement, the White House said President Trump is following the Constitution to a T. That term, constitutional crisis, is back.
We're headed toward a constitutional crisis. We're fast barreling towards a constitutional crisis.
You cannot talk about the Constitution enough.
Jeffrey Rosen runs the nonpartisan National Constitution Center in Philadelphia.
What is a constitutional crisis?
If the president refuses to carry out an authoritative opinion of the Supreme Court. It's never happened before in American history. Andrew Jackson threatened to ignore the court, but he didn't. And no president has ever defied the court. So far, President Trump hasn't either.
The Supreme Court has never been defied?
You haven't had an authoritative order that a president's refused to carry out.
Many Democrats are sounding the alarm about President Donald Trump's use of executive power.
I've been asked so many times, aren't you uncomfortable with this? No, I'm not.
Most Republicans are shrugging off talk of a crisis. In fact, many are cheering as Trump overhauls the Justice Department and FBI, works with Elon Musk to fire thousands of federal employees, and signs piles of executive orders.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Making sense of this moment is tricky. These days, Trump's attorneys are busy appealing lower court decisions that have tried to rein him in. Those cases could soon reach the Supreme Court. For the time being, the Republican-controlled Congress is doing little, if anything, to contest Trump. Democrats have expressed outrage. Most Republicans range from muted to thrilled.
#1 trending.
Trump has also unsettled his critics. On social media, he has quoted this line from a film about the French Emperor Napoleon.
He who saves a nation violates no law.
Don McGahn, who was White House counsel in Trump's first term, says he sees a president who is generating headlines, not a crisis.
Do you believe he's testing the bounds of executive power or not?
I think you can make that argument. He certainly is doing it in a way that is very open, very transparent, very in your face. There doesn't seem to be a lot of secret memos telling people what to do. It seems that he is certainly doing it wide open in a way that lets people see. I think he certainly is pushing the envelope, and I think he's doing it in a way where I think he has much more solid legal authority to do so than I think a lot of people realize.
We're headed toward a constitutional crisis. We're fast barreling towards a constitutional crisis.
Calm down. That's my message. Calm down. It's a process. It's a lot of paper. It's a lot of executive orders. It's a lot of hype. There's a process in place. People are going to go to court. Courts will sort it out. Congress can help sort it out. We'll see what comes out at the end. But this is how our system works.
This crossroads on presidential power has been years in the making.
And you do have courts now which have a very heavy Trump stamp on them.
Don McGahn was a key attorney behind Trump's nominations to the High Court, which last year ruled presidents have broad immunity.
What is the significance of the presidential immunity ruling when it comes to President Trump today?
Well, I think it reflects what really had already been the law. Now, there's some scholars and law professors and things that disagree with that, but I think really the president gets to be president. And when he makes decisions within his constitutional or statutory authority, that's it.
In a statement, the White House said President Trump is following the Constitution to a T. In the end, for Jeffrey Rosen, history and the Constitution remain the guidebooks for our turbulent times, especially as this president is on the brink of making history of his own.
President Trump is asserting a robust form of presidential power that's as strong as any president in history. It's called the Unitary executive theory, and the basic idea is that Congress can't constrain the president's power. Now, the Supreme Court hasn't weighed in on the extent of this unitary executive theory, but if the court agrees with President Trump, as it could, then he will in fact wage executive power more robust than any president in history.
You're fired. Get out of here.